Hey folks, it's Marvin Cash, the host of The Articulate Fly, and we're back with another On the Salt with Captain David Blinken. David, how are you?
I'm good, Marvin. How are you doing today?
As always, I'm just trying to stay out of trouble. You know, it's kind of interesting down here in the Southeast. We've, kind of on the other side of all this horrible weather we've had, it's kind of super cooled off and it's dried out. What are you seeing up in the Northeast?
Well, finally, we've had our second cold front in 2 weeks, but this one's really robust. And with it is finally coming some striped bass from, places far off, I would assume.
Very neat. And have the false albacore finally decided to show up in your neck of the woods?
No, unfortunately not. I was in Martha's Vineyard for Columbus Day visiting friends, and there were some albies up there. But they don't seem to be wanting to come to at least the east end of Long Island this year. I know we have some in Long Island Sound way west of here, and they're up north, but they're everywhere but here. And it's not like this hasn't happened before. In 2012, we didn't have any false albacore either for that fishing season.
Interesting. So tell me a little bit more about the stripers you've been able to track down.
Well, we've been catching stripers both in Rhode Island and over at Fisher's Island, and now we have stripers finally filling in around Montauk and in the inner bays. So that should really be exciting for us going down the home stretch into November.
Yeah, there you go. Just in time to get off the water, put the boat away for Thanksgiving, right?
There you go. Well, let's see. I fish till around the 9th or 10th of November here. And then I take a group tarpon fishing in Campeche, Mexico for a few days. So and then there's Thanksgiving. So yes, that'll be great.
Yeah, well, there you go. Well, listen, I've got a striper question for you from Mitchell, and he wanted to get your thoughts when you're fishing for stripers on the flats. Do you prefer a fly color that blends in with the bottom?
Well, it's really interesting. It's kind of a yes question, and I'll tell you why. When various baits are on different color bottoms, they try to hide themselves by changing color and matching the environment they're in. So, for example, when I'm fishing crab patterns over sandy bottoms, I tend to fish a lighter colored crab. But when I'm fishing crab patterns, and it could be just 10 feet to the left over a grassy bottom, I will try to change that crab to something that's got a little bit of olive or green in it. And similarly, when I'm fishing baitfish patterns, baitfish can change color on a dime. They'll be darker over a darker bottom and lighter over a lighter bottom. So very often I might have rods rigged with a couple different patterns as far as color goes, but I do definitely try to match the color of the bottom or the color of the environment they're in. So if you were to look in my fly box, I may have 100 of the same flies, but they're tied in different sizes and different hues. So if you look at my fly box, it looks almost like a Pantone color chart.
Very, very neat. And so, I know that's the general rule, but if the fish are being stingy, do you then maybe add a little flash, or do you go for contrast? Is there anything that you may want to change up there if the fish have lockjaw?
Well, interestingly enough, very often what happens is I'll tie my flies with flash. But if I find the fish are not responding or not eating, I'll sometimes pick all the flash out, especially on brighter days, and have the fly be kind of as flat as possible without any sparkle to it. And very often that's the ticket. If you were to look in my box, you'll see a lot of flies where the flash has been plucked out. You can just sort of see the ends of it where it was tied in. And that's really it. And then there are other times, especially in the fall, where the flashier the fly, the better. But certainly in the spring and summer, I find less flash means more fish.
Got it. Yeah, it's kind of interesting to tie them all with flash and then just pick out what you don't need. And that way you don't have to carry multiple versions of the same fly, right?
That's it. That's it. I don't mind having flies without flash, and they'll work all the time. But certainly when the fish are being a little bit picky, a little tough, getting rid of that flash can mean the difference between fish and no fish.
Got it. And, folks, we love questions on the articulate fly. You can email me or DM me on social media. As I always say, let's make David's life as easy as possible. And if we use your question, I will send you some articulate fly swag. And then we enter a drawing for a Royal Wolf line of your choice. And, funny, David, I guess two things before we started recording. One, you're going to go set your camera up and try to photograph the comet. But then we also started talking about Masters of the Fly. And you and Lu Yen are busy kind of planning what 2025 is going to look like.
Yeah, we are. And we're kind of looking at beginning the season, probably sometime around the middle end of January. And we don't have dates yet, but as soon as we do, you'll be the first to know, and everybody else who's listening here.
Very neat. And so if folks want to try to maybe find a day and, we're talking about you've got, 3 weeks left of guiding to get on your boat, what should they do?
They can go to my website, davidblinken.com. And they can just grab my phone number and give me a call or hit me up with an email at davidblinken@gmail.com.
Well, there you go. Well, folks, as I always say, you owe it to yourself to get out there and catch a few. Tight lines, everybody. Tight lines, David.
Tight lines, all.